Hi, everyone. Welcome all of you to a beautiful series of podcasts, which is called The Purposeful Dad. Now, have you wondered, or if I were to ask you a question, that what did you admire the most about your father? Or what did you wish that you had your father done differently? And we might have a lot of questions like this popping up in our head when we look at our father. And here is someone who would bring more light, more depth into the journey of fatherhood. So, without any further ado, let me take you through the journey of the Purposeful Dad, where we dive deep into the meaningful conversations that help men become more intentional fathers and leaders. I am your host, Suji, and today our episode is all about becoming the best version of yourself as a father by healing your emotional wounds and leading with purpose. Joining us today is an Alpha Dad coach with 9 years of experience, and his mission is to transform 1 million men into purposeful and compassionate fathers. He blends science and spirituality to heal fathers from emotional wounds, cultivating a mindset of purpose, and to raise children with value, love, and abundant resources. His unique approach ensures kids grow up in a nurturing environment that contributes positively to the world. Let's put our hands together and welcome the Alpha Dad coach, Aman Juneja, aka Kabir. Hi, Kabir. Thank
Hello,
you for being here.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction and for such a wonderful initiative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's collectively our initiative. So let's dive into this. And before we go any further, our audience would definitely would love to know what is Alpha Dad? Like this term itself was new to me. So yes, the question to you, what does Alpha Dad coach mean to you?
All right. Thank you so much once again for having me here. And to answer your question, uh, growing up in my journey, in my childhood, I felt, uh, looking at my father, looking at other men, like grown up men in my family, there was they were always busy in their work. They were always occupied, in the daily day-to-day chores, the day-to-day living, making that happening. However, what was missing with respect to my dad was that emotional connection. And
Mhm.
because of that, throughout my journey, as I was growing up, I wasn't even aware what are emotions. It was late until, not until 20 years or so when I went through my, when I started experiencing life on my own, when my parents were not around, when my friends left me, when I went through heartbreaks, I started realizing, oh, there is something called emotions. There's something called pain. Not that pain when we fall down while playing and when we get up, all those wounds are still, they heal, but there are certain emotions and certain pains, certain traumas which we experience, but we are not even aware of, right? So, and then alongside this, what I also felt was I had a deeper feeling, right, since my early 20s to be a father. I don't know from where it came. Uh, Now, when I started my coaching journey, when I started healing myself through all this while, I could connect the dots again. And I could realize that all this was happening because maybe, I wanted to be that father which I felt was missing for me. Right. So alpha dad is someone who is connected to their own self first, as a person, as an individual. They embrace their emotions.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Because hearing that from a man, like you embracing your emotions, it's very rare to see. Like, you know, I, as a female, I see that very rare in people around, especially the male folks.
Right.
So, can you go a little more deeper in that? Like,
100%.
why do men do not embrace their emotions? Like, why are they always in the task oriented, but not maybe the humanly oriented, if I'm not wrong?
Right. So, alongside my journey as I was growing up, like I would, right since my teenage, I would cry. Even in my 20s, when I went through heartbreak, I cried. Right. But I never saw any of my friends cry. They were not very expressive, even when they were going through that pain. So somehow it came very natural to me. And even when I was working with different mentors, and then Osho came into my life. Osho said one thing very, very beautifully, that the same tear glands which the women have been blessed with, which the female have been blessed with, the same tear glands men have been blessed with as well. It's the nature's gift.
Yes.
It's very natural, to have the same tear glands, the same kind of mechanism inside both the male and the female body. But then why men will not cry? Because they have been conditioned that men's don't cry, boys don't cry, boys have to be strong.
So the strength means to hide a part of you, like
Yes.
not revealing.
Yes. So that is the agenda which has been given to us, right? So
Okay.
that the strength for a man, for a male, means you don't embrace your emotions, you cut that side of yours, you pretend that you are strong and you don't feel pain inside of you.
That's even more painful. Like you're just cutting off a part of you and you're not showing. So does that mean showing emotions is weakness?
That's what has been given to us.
Then there's a lot of work to be done, right, for you,
Right.
coach?
Right. And maybe, like, though I was expressive about my own emotions, but people around me were not. So, every time I would be angry, I was given names by
Hmm.
my own, by my own friends or cousins, like some names which would suppress that specific emotion of mine.
Now, I was coming to that. Like when you express, how do people perceive you?
Exactly. So they would judge me because they themselves are not there. So, they may want to do that, but they are not there. They have been taught it's okay, that's a condition. So it's all right, nothing against them. But then whosoever would suppress, they would be treated, they would be judged.
Okay, so which you mean to say those people who are judging you, are they also male or are they females also?
Mostly males.
Okay.
Mostly males. Okay. And now I think mostly males, but it is not gender specific. Actually, everyone, even the females as well.
Hmm.
But the whole idea behind that, the concept behind that is they have been given that condition that men don't cry, boys
Yeah.
don't cry. So it's okay. They are coming with that belief. Okay. Or so, but what I learned along my journey was every emotion is very, very beautiful. Like every emotion needs to be embraced. It is a part of you. It helps you connect with your own self. Whether it's a male or a female, it does not matter because it's what you have been gifted with, I have been gifted with.
Yeah.
So no God or no universe gave me. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been the process inside. I wouldn't have been gifted tear glands in the male body if they were not of any use. They wouldn't have been there. So nature, if it has given something, of course, then it is for some use, right?
Yeah, totally. Everything is for a purpose.
Everything is for a purpose. And every time, what I also observed with respect to emotions is every time any emotion goes to the peak,
Mhm.
it cuts the threshold. It will reflect in terms of tears. Whether it is anger, I have cried being angry, like super duper angry, burning inside of me. I have cried because that is how, the body wants to express. I have cried in joy, the tears coming out. I have cried in, like in when I'm sad, of course, right? Because that is a natural mechanism of, and it's a healing process,
True.
right?
Yeah, that's very deep. You're already gone too much
So,
into the depth of it. Yeah.
right. So far, what I've shared is I've just given you the example of tears, but this is just one example where I'm quoting to make everyone and you understand myself as well that emotions are, it's a natural process, whether it's a male or a female, right? And the real strength, now I'm coming to the alpha dad. So the real strength, the strength which, society has given to males, that you suppress your emotions, you don't show them, right? That is not the real strength. The real strength, actually, the real masculinity actually is to allow the expression of your feminine inside of you. So your feminine is your creative part, it's your
Mhm.
expressive part, and maybe that is the part which feels emotions inside of you, right?
Yep.
So being a real masculine or a real, in that energy is to allow that space to your own self where you are allowing those emotions. That gives you real strength. That, builds up your chest. That is your real muscles. And that is what Alpha Dad is all about. He he does the same, he allows the same to his own self, and then he gives this emotional legacy to his children.
Wow. Very deep. And here you've touched base on what is the importance of emotions, especially as a boy or as a growing man, how important it is. Now, the question that comes to me is you said emotions are to be expressed. It is all about, the expression of it. Now, on the contrary, if I see most of the men around, they're just the other way around. What are the drawbacks of that? Like, if you're not expressing like your entire life, and then you get into different responsibilities in life, what is the actual drawback of that human?
The consequences and the repercussions of not expressing your emotions. If we look at the world today, you know, any kind of wars which have happened, we have waged more than 5,000 wars in our history. And all that, and in all of the wars, if you observe, do you see any females participating? I ask you this question soon.
Obviously not.
So there are only males, right? And
Yeah.
have you ever observed you are passing by on road and there has been, like there has been a road rage incident? So do you ever see any females, stopping their car or bike to observe that road rage? Or is it just men who are surrounding and watching that?
Very rare to see both the sides, but majority it is. I mean, personally, for me, it's very heartbreaking to see something like that.
Yeah,
So I would rather not choose to be there. I would just, because it builds a lot of heaviness and then it plays in the head for a long period of time.
right. So the question which you asked was, what is the consequence when you don't express yourself, when you are cutting a natural part of yours? You, it's not that you are letting it go. It's not that you are able to move past it. You are just, it's like, you see dust in your room, and what you do is you take a jhadu and you put it under the bed, under the rug, right? You don't
Mm-hmm.
let it there, but it is still there.
Correct. It's not visible. That's it.
It's not visible to you, but it is still there.
Yeah.
Okay. So when every time when we go through a heartbreak, every time when we go through any kind of trauma, some traumas have happened in the childhood. So we are not even aware of that. So that's okay. But as we grow up, we go through heartbreaks, we experience that pain, we are experiencing it right now. But sometimes, most often than not, what we choose to do is we would suppress it while consuming alcohol or distracting ourselves in many different ways. So all of that distraction is just putting that pain for now under the rug,
Ah, beautiful.
pushing it under the bed. But as the next opportunity arises where that pain is triggered, such some similar incident will happen in our life that will trigger it.
Mhm.
Our reaction would be much more worst than it would have been when that incident was happening and if we would have expressed it then and there.
Okay, because the release has not happened.
Release has not
So,
happened, and now that suppressed emotion has become a perversion. So anything suppressed is equal to perversion. Usually
scary.
we associate this thing with lust, right? Pervert word we, but any kind of emotion, even when it is anger,
Huh?
keep on suppressing it, you keep on suppressing it, and someday you will burst, and you may burst into flames in front of someone who might have not done anything at all, but you will ruin your relationship because all this was suppressed anger. And sometimes, so when it comes to fathers, dads,
Mhm.
the children are the weakest, the weakest available in front of them, and they would express or they would vent out in front of them.
Yeah.
That innocent child will have to take everything upon themselves, and they would carry it throughout their life that maybe, I did something wrong, maybe I don't deserve love, I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
True. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty deep. Thank you so much for, putting light on it, because that not just spoils you as a person because you're not balancing your emotions, but also when you look at that father and that child bonding, that also creates a lot of rift. Because tomorrow the child looks up to you as a very, you know, inhuman, that, because all that I've received was hurt. Like, you always shouted at me for things that I haven't done. And it may be nothing to do with the child. So, somewhere, what I understand from you, this man is holding a lot of, dust accumulated inside, which is suppressed for a long time. And so, is there a way how, this person can revive themselves? Like, is there a scope for it?
100% there is a scope for it. And even before I go into that, right, uh when I started answering your previous question, I asked you, like, who has waged wars? Men have
Mm-hmm.
waged, men have participated in wars, not females. Not maybe, 5% females who are in their ranks, but majorly it has been always been men.
Mm-hmm.
Because females, when they feel sad, they cry. Simple. They when they feel pain, they allow it. Simple. It's natural for them. But we don't, right?
Yeah.
That is how we stop on the roads when there is a fight going on to observe what is going on, because we feel, like there is anger inside of us, suppressed anger, and we feel, like we feel excited to see people fighting,
Mm-hmm.
people abusing each other.
Yeah.
First of all, the people who are fighting, they are also males. There won't be any females.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely,
Rarely, yeah.
rarely, yeah. 99% males would be fighting there. Now, when
Yeah.
I'm saying all of this, I am not against males, those who are listening. I am
Yeah.
more towards you guys. Like, I love you, because I have been there. Now, where am I coming from is, like, why is healing necessary? Healing is necessary, like letting go of all these suppressed emotions is necessary. अगर अपने लिए नहीं कर रहे हो ना, if you have that instinct of being a father, do it for your child, whether it's a born child, already born child, whether you are already a father, whether you want to be a father, aspiring to be, or whether you may have that notion कि यार मुझे कभी ना कभी तो father बनना है, तो अगर अपने लिए नहीं कर रहे ना, do it for them.
True.
So what I was saying was, the bigger consequence of this is when when as a individual I suppress my emotions, I radiate that in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right? When the neighborhood is suppressing the emotions, it is radiated in the society. When society is doing this, it is radiated in the city, in the state, in the country. And when we collectively are doing this, it is radiated across the globe, across the planet. And that is the result why so many wars and so many, all these,
Violence.
all these are just suppressed emotions. If
Yeah.
we are given that space to allow to express the emotions and take that conditioning away that men don't need to express, or it's weaker to, so the strength is to kill each other but not to accept what is the war which is going inside is okay. Actually the inner war is creating the outer war.
Yeah. Yes.
So there is a
True.
there is a part of
Even
me.
we see these situations. Yeah.
Good.
No, no, go ahead. It's okay. I'll
Right.
come back.
So there is a part of me which wants to express the emotion, the part which is feeling the emotion, and then there is a part which is saying, the emotion is bad.
There's a conflict.
There is a conflict. What is
Yeah.
conflict? Conflict when you have war starts with conflicts.
Yeah.
So there is a conflict, and then you are not resolving that conflict. You are not allowing that, and then what happens is, now these two parts are standing against each other, holding the gun.
So it becomes more of a ego clash.
Ego clash inside of you, and then what is there inside is radiated outside, and then the outcome we all observe. Some people love to see the news. Some people talk, mostly again in my circle. I am not pointing out to any gender, but in my circle, I have observed some of my friends, relatives, cousins talk about, there may be a World War III. Now, why are you even going there? Why do you why are maybe they are relishing talking about it
Yeah.
because it gives them some kind of a thrill, Ah.
Yeah.
So this is inside. Actually,
True.
all this is inside. So rather than dealing it inside, we would love to observe it happening outside.
As you're feeling within, you want the similar things to happen outside. So it relates, it syncs, and you feel good about it. But actually, it's causing a lot of damage. It's not doing any good, right? Because, like you said, from an individual to the environment, to the community, to the society, to the country, and then to the planet, it's a massive damage.
It's a massive damage.
So,
And
yeah.
and just to answer your question, I
Yeah.
have not answered yet. It impacts your relationships. If you are suppressing emotions, it impacts your relationships, whether it is personal, professional, your friendships, anything. It impacts your relationships because you don't express when you need to express, but later when the suppression has become so much, when the river, you have held the river so much that now the river has accumulated so much force. Now it's time to break the dam, and river will have to, then the flood is caused.
Correct.
That is how the relationships are impacted.
Yeah.
Right? So of course there is a way, there is a way how you can let go of all of these emotions, right?
Yes.
But first step is always is to just start looking, start acknowledging that you have emotions. Like
True.
that. Bus, ये first step.
So much, yes. And one key thing what touched my heart deep was when you told about it affects relations. I think it mostly affects your relation with your own self first, right? Because you are the compass where everything revolves around. And if you are not taking care of your own self, like how you said, cleaning up the room or just pushing it down the rug, what you're doing is you're just accumulating a lot of negativity and toxicity. And I think that shows not just in, a love relationship, but also maybe in your career, right? Like as a leader, it can impact, right?
100%. It happened with me, like the fear that there was always a sense of fear inside of me, which I was carrying, and it reflected in my relationships and my friendships. And as I joined my corporate career, it also started reflecting there.
Yeah,
But I could never find the answer. Where is this fear coming from? Kya hai? I was not even aware ke, and that fear would make me act in manner which I would later regret.
very much. Yeah, because even I have witnessed some men in my workplace where I see them, sometimes I feel, did I do something wrong? Like, why am I even listening to all this? Like, why are they even shouting at me like this? And it hurts, like, it screws up the whole day. तो फिर ऐसा लगता है ना कि यहाँ पे नहीं रहना है like we say right we don't leave companies because of the company but because of the manager or because of the person whom you're working with. So relationships play a very important role, and if I realize that I have bottled up a lot, then it's time for me to release, like let that flood out by not impacting others but by clearing myself first, right? Beautiful. I think, this would not just help fatherhood, but also men who are very ambitious to grow in their career or in their entrepreneurial or whatever they're doing. I think these takeaways that you have given is more about balancing your emotions. I mean, even more than balancing emotion, it's about meeting with them, saying hi, I saw you, you're right here. है ना? Like मुझे डर लगता है and I know it happens to me, and understanding and accepting that is something which is very important.
Exactly.
Right?
You said
Wow.
very beautifully, meeting with them, right? We often, set up so many meetings, so many conferences, Zoom calls, but we never choose to meet our own self.
Yes,
What is there inside of us?
totally. So I think people will also resonate with you, Kabir, because there are people who may not open up maybe to their own family because the conditioning has been given maybe somewhere from the family itself. Like how you said, hey, you're a boy, you shouldn't cry. You're a growing man, you should be strong. So strength always meant to them to hide away their fears,
Right.
to hide away their sadness.
Right.
Even there is, a very unfortunate event where somebody passes away. We hardly see men expressing it out. They hold it. Like you see the woman who is just pouring out because both are feeling the same, but the expression is different.
Right. Right.
And that is an injustice I feel as human because a man, a boy also has the rights to express themselves. But somewhere, the conditioning has screwed it up to a very large extent.
Right. As I recall this on a lighter note, I recall this movie, Rocky Randhawa, Rocky Randhawa Rani. What was that movie? You remember? Ranveer Singh and Alia Bhatt. So I forgot the name
I
of the
don't know.
movie, but audience would, of course,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we call it, just type it in the chat box. So in that, the Rocky was the male protagonist. He was the
Mhm.
the hero of the movie, and then he had a dadi, his grandmother. his grandmother was very masculine kind of a figure,
Okay.
very strict, right? Would not embrace emotions. And Rocky's father, so the grandmother's son, and
Hmm.
he was very creative. He was very poetic. He would write poems. But she as a mother wanted her son to join the business, the family business.
Okay.
He was interested in poetry, in creativity. So he was not allowed to do that, and you know, he was he was he was not allowed his expression.
Hmm.
So what I'm leading to is, it's not that always men will judge other men.
Yeah.
Everyone has been conditioned,
Yes.
irrespective of gender. Society has been conditioned. The humans have been conditioned that men don't cry. So even the female figure would expect the same from a male. And sometimes even the female somehow has received this conditioning that she would also not be very expressive towards her emotions. So this may apply to her as well, what we discussed today, right?
Yes.
So, and you said it very well, that not just someone who's aspiring to be a dad or already a dad, someone who is just creating anything in life, creating a business, because he will also be a father to the business,
Yeah.
father to his life, father to his own life, like a normal life.
True.
They are creating, right? Father is akin to a creator.
Yes.
Any kind of creation is equal to father.
Correct. Thank you, Kabir. Thank you for all the inputs. It really means a lot. And I think not just me, but everyone who's watching this are learning so much from you, because it comes with an open heart. It comes with the essence of expression. And that is what matters the most. And yes, to my viewers, I would really want to say that, stay connected with our podcast, with all the learnings that you're taking away from these sessions, because what Kabir is sharing over here is something we may have thought about, but somewhere we have held it back, thinking, log kya kahenge? That is what most of the time we go through. But I think these sessions, as we keep going on episodes by episodes, we will start unpeeling that, layer by layer, so that, you can be your authentic self. And Kabir is right here for that, because his intention is to create more purposeful individuals. Could be in parenting, could be being more resourceful, because it's all about nurturing and creating. You are the provider, right? And for you to be a provider, you need to bring your whole self, not like discount a part, right? So requesting all of you to, yes, to follow Kabir on LinkedIn, to follow him on Instagram. I would be sharing the link down in the description. And if you like this episode, or whatever you have taken away, like it could be even one learning that you have taken away, which is connected deep with you, maybe as a male, maybe as a female, maybe as a trans, whatever, as a human, what have you learned from today's interactions? Leave your comments, do like, and do share this with everyone who needs it. And we would meet again on the next episode with another beautiful, interesting topic. Yes, with Kabir. And we get to learn a lot more. So thank you, Kabir, for being here. Thank you for your sharing. It totally means a lot.
Thank you so much, Suji. Thank you so much for having me here for this beautiful initiative which we have created. And yes, as you beautifully said, it applies to all humans, though we may be specifically talking about fathers, dads, males, but it is applicable to every single human. Yes.
Totally. Thank you so much, and see you again soon.
Yes. God bless you all. Take care. Thank you.